What's happening, YouTube? It's your homie S. Dot coming back to you with another video. And today's video is going to be a special one. This is the third installment of my Comp Camp series. We're here in this podcast. We are going to talk about competitive play and get down to the nitty gritty with one of the other players, another player that I respect in this game so very much. First time encountering him was at PPT Pro Play Tour Ohio last year, 2019. And he played Blaster, and Blaster deck is insane. And I think this was post. Was this post press the advantage?
No, it was the last tournament where it was legal.
This is still in my crazy ass still decided to play Shockwave. And there's one key card that ended up letting me take the game. Otherwise, I would have lost. And we'll talk about that here in a while as well. But nonetheless, despite that and my son's excitement, we have a very good player on the show here today in Nick Wiedeman. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
No doubt, man. Cool. How you feeling tonight?
It's ready to talk some Transformers.
Hey, there we go. Okay, sounds good. Cool. We're actually, instead of hearing me talk, this whole entire video is about you. So we're gonna actually just jump right into the questions and let's get going. Talk about TF, like you said. So when did you start the competitive card gaming scene?
Transformers or overall?
I guess overall. Like, I guess we could definitely, let's talk about your past card game experience in general, and then when you transition into competitive play, taking whatever game more seriously, and then talking about getting into Transformers and so.
So I'll start a little different. So I didn't really play too many card games growing up. Like dabbled in, like had some Magic cards, had Yu-Gi-Oh, had Pokemon. Never really played any of them. I started playing HeroClix a lot though. It was kind of the first game I ever really took semi-seriously, at least at the local level. Played to win tournaments, and that was through high school, through college. About 10 years of playing HeroClix at conventions and things like that. So
you went hard.
A little bit different, like minis based, but like kind of along the same lines. Just a hobby game that we like there. So and then card game wise, I did play Pokemon for a while. Kind of jumped back into it here during COVID quarantine and pick some cards back up that because their online client may not be the best, but it's pretty nice to use and just kind of log on. Jump on some free games, jump on the ladder, play that. So I've been playing that on and off probably the last 5 or 6 years. And like I said, never really go to too many big tournaments, but taking it pretty seriously, go to kind of some of the bigger local ones, things like that. So just kind of dabble around in a bunch of games. I would say Transformers has been the one I've taken most seriously as traveling to events and things like that, just in the short time I've been playing it. So, but kind of always just kind of board games, card games, minis games. Always try something.
Right. Okay, cool. Now, was the Pro Play Tour Ohio your first competitive event, or did you have a taste of some type of competitive play versus a certain of higher caliber players, or whatever the case is, where you had experience prior to that tournament?
So for Pokemon, I've been to a couple of regionals before, and those were like 800-man, large, all-day tournaments. Like I've played other games like kind of tournaments like Gen Con for HeroClix too. So I've been played at like higher level for some events rather than outside of local. And obviously those are just kind of scaled differently based on the player size there. Like the HeroClix ones would be like, depending on what you were trying to do, like 24, 36. Never really went all in for their Worlds formats or nationals or things like that, but tried to still play in some of the bigger ones at conventions when I was there.
Right. Okay, cool. But for Transformers specifically, PBT Ohio was your first taste of competitive?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first, I started picking up cards right before Gen Con after the announcement of organized play, and I saw one of the local guys I used to play HeroClix with actually started playing and posting, and I saw which local shop was here, so I was like, well, I love Transformers, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Hasbro, growing up. Got all the toys, got all the stuff there.
Right.
I was like, all right, I'll check it out. Built my first deck. I think it was actually Brian's from Wreck and Rule. I built his Fireflight, RC, Wheeljack, Bold, Orange.
Yeah. And
just kind of messing around with that, but didn't really feel...
Blue decks.
Yep. And then I always go to Gen Con every year, then every year for the last 10. So I just kind of decided I'd look at it there. Didn't really feel comfortable playing in the tournament. Didn't really have much experience. But that's where I picked up Blaster Soundwave set, 35th anniversary. Grabbed that, did all their turbos, pulled a super rare in that. And I was like, all right, hook, line, sinker. I'm in. Enjoy the game. That's where I started running into Cameron from Arbitrary Hero. So obviously he's local here in Cincinnati too.
So that's is that the first time you met him?
I met him, I think, once at the shop beforehand.
Oh, okay, so you guys
kind of talked about how we were going there, so I kind of hung out with a little bit in between rounds because I know he was playing the qualifiers. And then just like kind of got introduced to a few people from the local scene, and then who were playing there. And then came back from there, and when they announced Pro Play Tour, Columbus was, what, 3 weeks, I think, after
Yeah, it was pretty
quickly.
Yep.
And I was like, started looking for something to build, and saw, what is it, Vin played the Blaster deck in the top 4 at Gen Con, didn't he?
I want to say Scott top 4. I'm trying to think of 2 of them top.
Yeah, because Vin played it for top 32.
Yeah,
or some top 8.
Yep.
And then I love Blaster from the movie, '86 movie.
Okay.
I always enjoyed him popping out the cassettes. And then I saw it good, picked it up when I was at Gen Con. I was like, all right, I've got something I feel comfortable playing, and Columbus is only 2 hours from here. I was like, I can't.
Now, that was one of my questions. How far was that for you? But 2 hours is not bad at all.
Yeah, a little less than that. So we're blessed here in Cincinnati with a 2-hour drive to Gen Con and Origins.
That's
pretty easy flights to EI. So made it
I'm moving to Ohio.
to get around.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's settled. I'm moving to Ohio. I'm coming through. That's dope. That is realize how close you are to both of those major events, which happen literally every year. Unfortunately, not this year in these trying times, but usually you're in a great location. That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
How's your local card game scene? Before COVID took its course.
It was pretty solid. We had up to in Cincinnati, we had 2 to 3 stores that we were hosting events semi-regularly, weekly, bi-weekly. We could get anywhere from 6 to 12, typically a lot.
Yeah.
And then I usually go up to Dayton too. I have a couple buddies who play up there at the Epic Loot in Centerville, and they have a pretty good scene, and we usually get 6 to 8 pretty easily on a Saturday night. So I usually make it up there, used to make it up there every other week when things weren't happening. So got to play weekly basis pretty consistently in person, which was really nice for trying to just jump into this. Made it an easy decision to kind of go full speed ahead into the game.
Okay, cool. Now, before we actually started this recording, I asked you what we ended up stumbling upon talking about Octone, and I was building Octone and blah, 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 or fixing up Octone, and then you mentioned that you played it at the Energon Invitational last year, December 2019. So how did that go? In general, because I'm curious, I didn't know you were an Octone fan, and I'm a big Octone fan as well. I think a lot of this for me stems from the big, 13.7.5 approach, just like 3Y Prime back from Wave 1 and Wave 2. But so Octone obviously presents a lot of strong synergies with direct damage and things like that. And you say you decided to play him at EI. So how did that go? And what was your characters, etc.? I'm curious.
Yeah, so it was blue. It was Octone, Aimless, and Flame War. Just kind of a different version of kind of what was going around with Galaxy and Jetfire. And my buddy had been playing it here and loving it, played against it, and he was stomping the floor with it. Because I was still thinking about playing Blaster at the time, and he just pretty much picked off every small character and got through it and chewed through it. And I wasn't doing anything.
Kind of like Bugs with the direct damage that he has, and definitely.
Yep. I really enjoyed the deck. We made a lot of changes when we came back immediately, just to kind of some of the card counts and some of the armors and things like that. We played extra paddings, and I switched to sparring gear pretty much straight off the bat. But I really liked Octone. He was a lot of fun. Honestly, I expected to play against a lot of Shockwave going in, and I did beat 2 Shockwaves with it. So it did its job, that I just kind of ran into some issues against the other one. One of the rounds I played for the first time against the 5-wide Airstrike Patrol, and we were in game 3. We went to time, and it just kind of ran out of time, and it was just kind of a little unfortunate because it looked like I was just able to pull off a multi-KO with Octone's bounty ability, Javelin, and all that fun stuff. So it was just kind of one of those things. And then what knocked me out of any chance of getting top, I'd say 32 or 64 with that against a Battlefield Legend that was able to recur stable cover every time. And I was I wasn't pushing enough damage without my opportune offensives and bigger they are, and he was just taking away my only real way to deal damage. So it was just kind of unfortunate on that one. But like I said, I really enjoyed the deck. It was kind of felt like a good counter to Shockwave with as much direct damage as it dealt. And actually, my game where I played Aiden round 1 and beat him with some Pierce, my last Aimless flip, because we had enough Black Pips in there. So that was pretty funny. So it did its job against what it was, and then just kind of got hit hard with some stuff.
Okay.
But really,
oh, go ahead. If you weren't done, go ahead.
No, I just really enjoy it. He's a ton of fun to play.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's one of the first super rares I tested with when the set first came out. I actually went the old literal approach, take out Optimus for Octone, and I played it with Hot Rod and Flame War, and then quickly realized that the Opportune Offensive was only good with Flame War, and then I was like, okay, well, maybe I can play repairs and offensive. Then you look at the list, and there's no space. So I was like, okay, well, I got to clearly go to a different 7-star, and I forgot who I ended up playing. I think I played Barrage for the longest time. But it seems like he's a very solid pick, especially because you don't have to flip him, and then after you flip Flame War, you can continuously flip Octone thereafter. So very strong, very cool.
And then at the time too, like Tough was still, Tough was still king.
Tough was the
so Tough 3, and then you really didn't even mind when he died because there was a pretty good chance the way we had it with the white pips and everything in there. Some of the effects, like you could get his ability off. Not all the time, but I mean, any extra damage when flipping off him, because you'd be sitting there with a 11 attack and then already hitting for 3 if you were swinging in the right mode with Octone.
Right.
It was just even more direct damage to get around defense. There was kind of the whole point of the deck.
Yeah, and when in doubt, you could flip Flame War back to alt mode and then trigger to help get that extra additional card if you.
We would do that too. So it had some nice tricks on that one there. The kind of plays you could do with it, so it was a lot of fun. I still enjoy Octane. Played it a bunch after EI, so we made changes to it. It was just fun to play against.
Absolutely, totally agree. Okay, well, next question: when assessing deck building, what are some of the ways you approach building from bottom to top, besides Security Checkpoint, Handheld Blaster, and Peace Through Tyranny, Improvise Shield? Those 6 are almost always guaranteed in your deck. So pro tip for any new players out there, your deck is starting out with those 6 cards depending on what slant your deck is going to be. But aside from those 6 cards on each side, what are ways you assess deck building when wanting to build something new?
So usually I kind of probably a lot of people here start character first. It's kind of really the best way to do it. And then I've gotten more and more into wanting to play the characters that let you cheat legally, you know what I mean? Like Blaster being able to get the free plays off the top, that whole deck Fire Drive to get the card draw, being able to throw cards to get extra damage, just kind of anything that lets you kind of cut the corners of the base rules of the game. That goes for most games. Anything that gives you that extra advantage of just like how to break the I go and flip, you go and flip, and then just kind of back and forth. Anything that lets you kind of get extra plays out of it or just kind of steal turns and things like that. It's kind of always been since playing Blaster and kind of learning what I like to do there. It's kind of what I look at here. And I kind of gravitated towards what I've been playing lately in future events after Pro Play Tour Columbus.
Okay, cool. So, what was I going to say? I guess, well, you know what? I'll wait till we actually get there. All right, so your next question. What is your favorite aspect of the Transformers TCG and why? For example, I always use to give you a guide, and it could be the same answer if you want. My kid, say hello to my kid. Direct damage is my favorite aspect of the Transformers TCG. So what might be yours?
Probably going to go the same way there.
Yeah.
Kind of fell into the... when I first started reading a lot of the Vector Sigma stuff there, so, I always preach burn, and I can't play a deck without it. I think anything I played there had at least has to have some aspect of being able to deal with something out of combat.
Absolutely.
And obviously, as we kind of get into Wave 5, as we've seen here, that's become more and more important with anything you can do there.
Speaking of Wave 5 and direct damage, I think when I think about every set, it's going to take me a while to actually think of the theme of Wave 2. Well, the theme of Wave 2, you could say, would be the introduction of green icons. I think that was the pivotal point of Wave 2. In Wave 3, I think secret actions were introduced, but they weren't as dominant. But I think that sincerely introduced us to, it amplified the one big guy, two small guy deck in Shockwave. And then also Blaster. Aggressive decks got a lot better. And Battle Master. I think Battle Masters clearly were the theme of a Wave 3 and how that got amplified. And then Wave 4 was more Battle Masters, but then we really got the one big guy, two small guy deck in Galaxy Prime and Jetfire, and blue has been as powerful as more powerful than it's ever been before. And then Wave 5, the Titan Masters are obviously very pivotal, but I think more so than that, direct damage is the epitome of this set. And I think what what Wave 5 did with direct damage was force even new players to learn to play direct damage in your deck. You can kind of get away with it just a tad in wave 1, and you always need direct damage in your deck, but this set sincerely will teach you that you need to play direct damage in your deck or you simply cannot win games. It's as simple as that. Like it's literally when you build a deck, it has to be a part of your deck in some way, shape, or form. So what do you think about direct damage and the amplification it's had since wave 5 release?
It's put it pretty much kind of on steroids with all the great new direct damage battle cards, and then obviously everyone that I think at this point knows how awesome and powerful, and I don't know what other words you want to use to describe horrible if you don't like them.
You mean the 6-star bot that should be 7 or 8? Yeah.
So definitely have played around with a lot of horrible, found out how powerful he is very quickly in combination with also just the synergy he has with all the black pip direct damage cards, because it seems that's what they really wanted to push this at. Camion Crash, Mag Ray, Precision Fire, even Rock Toss from the previous set. Anything you're playing there, you're just getting extra incremental damage, and it just, there's so many ways this set to deal damage out of combat. Quake 2, just a different aspect, or on a different plane he does it on. Obviously, it's kind of just relying on the KOs. You're not really doing them yourself, but it's still extra damage that's you have to take account of. That's not going to be just part of that attack flip or a weapon or things like that.
Yeah, they're not so strong in battle, but they're before they get into combat, they do all the things that they need to do, and then their battle doesn't need to be so strong because they've broken you down so much by dealing all this damage to you before they even attack. Yeah, it's definitely been amplified, direct damage is set, and to be honest with you, I've always been curious about the next set, and of course we always want new cards, always want what's next, you know, but I'm so curious to what Wave 6 is going to bring, because I'm hoping that we're not in the point of no return and that's all it's going to be about. So I'm really curious. I don't want to say necessarily counter direct damage, because we have tools. We have reflect damage. We have hollow matter projector. We have take cover. But at the same time, the way that direct damage has been spread out as it is, I don't think there is, well, I shouldn't say it like that, but I'm just curious. Do you have any ideas of what you think? I've heard people say a different color icon. Like I personally think the next icon color will be introduced to is purple, and maybe purple will reduce pierce. So like a blue purple will reduce an opponent's one black icon by 1. Just taking guesses. Or heal a red, like a literal red icon for healing. Every time you flip one on defense, you're able to heal one, or something like that. What do you have any opinions about what you think would be Wave 6?
I definitely think there's probably something. I've become the thing that a different color for anti-pierce, or maybe they'll just kind of go around and make some sort of different, stronger, like a point defense system, but that might actually be like a static buff with the pierce and maybe an actual color on the pip.
Right.
Because it was kind of like how we went here that we kind of saw like the beginning of Wave 3 and how aggro heavy it was, just looking back at Gen Con, and then immediately everyone's like, what's going to happen? How's they going to compete? In Wave 4, you get Sabotage Armaments, Hidden Fortification.
Got the answers. Right. Yep.
Pretty much just right there, turn the tables and set up, and then along with the characters, obviously, with Galaxy and Captain Jetfire, like, the answer came very quickly. So I'm kind of curious to see if that's going to be the same with the next set.
Right. Yeah, because Wave 5 ended up answering Wave 4 with all the blue. Yep.
Yeah. I'm also kind of curious to see how they just kind of incentivize people to play regular bots anymore outside of Titan Masters in certain slots.
You know?
Because just kind of when you think of what the cost, like, yeah, for 7 stars, you know, just like 6 ahead, do I want to play, I don't know, Fengri? Or do I just want to play other generic Barrage, Sky Shadow Plane just by itself without, like, they're still good, but just add an incentive if you get another character that pops off to give you an attack more than likely, you know, barring weird KO triggers and other things like that when they die, but another attack, and then just obviously the strength of being able to combo with Peace through Tyranny. So I'm curious to see even that aspect of not just the direct damage. Like you said, we do have ways, and I've had success with ways stopping it. So obviously things are different than I'm going to flip my Hidden Fortification and sparring here and flip 5 cards and take no damage. That's
right.
Outside of a few rare turns, that's not going to happen anymore.
Right.
So I think just kind of those ways. I'll be curious to see the answers, because I mean, it could just be. It seemed like how they talked about in some of their interviews about wanting to make the Black Pip like something there. Like they kind of definitely went and did that by making the abilities better, where people weren't playing them before. So I'll be curious to see, you know, like kind of how the counters there. Like point defense system was already around. Are they gonna make a new version of that? Is it gonna be a green and black? Are they gonna add a +1 static to it? Are they gonna go up to reduce it by Pierce 3? Like this, they talked about how they don't want to, in a lot of the Wizards interviews, they don't want to overdo it.
Right.
So they start it slower and see just kind of like, all right, so where's the break-even point of this for the players? So I'll be curious to see. I hesitate to see. I don't see them printing more direct damage cards at these levels probably in the next set, unless they really were like, you know what, let's do it, send it.
Yeah.
I don't see the strength of them, because obviously like we had some before, but they were never to this level. Like you had your special deliveries and things like that would move one. Like Rock Toss wasn't necessarily a strong one until Horrible. You know, I've liked Rock Toss for a little bit now after playing a Dex after coming back from Orlando.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm curious to see it, and those two things are really going to define like how this is going to go with the next set,
right?
In my mind. So like if there's an incentive to not play Titan Masters, and then if there's going to be different pips color to stop Pierce or different answers for Pierce for direct damage, deciding on how they do it, I'm very curious to see what answers they print.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I feel like parts of me honestly feel like they're at a point of no return, and it's like I don't want to say they messed up, but it's like they might have overdid it this time, because like again, they know what they're doing. They got us all in, especially as blue players at heart. They have us like, what's up with that? But we kind of get that because blue has been kind of rocking things since the beginning, despite orange being very good. But yeah, like I said, I'm definitely very curious myself. I think one big aspect about the Titan Masters, besides getting an extra body, I think even I'll still say this now. My first thoughts about the Titan Masters when I saw them, I was like, okay, you get a head, it has 2 attack, it's not going to do any damage, this and that. We've seen Kreb get up to like easily 8 attack, 9 attack, 9 attack, and it's not hard to get with a fusion bore or a whatever. And plus, you speaking of fusion bore with the black icon on 5 Pierce 3, flip 2 oranges and a 2 orange blacks down 5 Pierce 5 out of my 1-star drop or whatever. So more importantly than just not more importantly, but another aspect is just the fact that you get another blocker potentially. So like I can actually pop this head off of Fangry, and now I can actually attack with him and flip my Perceptor back to alt mode instead of attacking with him like I normally would have had to if I was just playing another normal bot. The fact that I had this extra body to help facilitate being able to use flips on my other characters and do other things before I finally go in with my best character is also something that really is really cool about this set. But I really just think it's like you said, am I going to play Fangry, who doesn't need a flip and has the bolt too? Yes, there's a stipulation behind it. You have to be attacking up. Or am I going to play Barrage, who I also have to flip, and I also have to be attacking into a damaged character? So they're both strong in their own right, but then when you look at everything, characters that don't have to flip is a very big thing right now. A lot of characters don't get along. 2 or more characters that need to flip. Usually you got the one, whether it's Horrible or Perceptor, whatever. We're playing Pounce in a Perceptor deck, and Pounce really wants to flip, but you kind of can't because you got this other guy over here, Perceptor, who really wants to flip. So we're at a point of that's how important it is to have that one guy that flips. And then, yeah, Titans really threw us a loop. So if we, Wave 6 comes, like I said, I'm in the same boat with you, in so many words. So we'll see. Only time will tell. We've got to wait it out, and of course enjoy this set for what it is. But things like when we talk about, actually, this is not a question on my list, but I still want to talk to you about this anyway. Peace through tyranny. And I want you to either, if you don't mind, agree or disagree, and tell me why. About peace through tyranny is like up here, and security checkpoint is right here. Security checkpoint has always been a steady good. Peace through tyranny has literally gotten stronger every set. Now, there are some sets, obviously, where blue still overtook Peace through tyranny, or not Peace through tyranny, but orange decks in general. But still, better players that knew how to use Peace through tyranny at the precise time, or even at certain times just in the match or whatever to gain advantage, or, in general, was definitely very valuable. So what do you think about Peace through tyranny at this point?
It's ridiculous. I've played it in a couple decks now, even in kind of a blue shell with decks. So like more control. I'd say more control than blue,
right.
But the value of it is just getting exponentially stronger with everything they keep coming out. First, it was great with the Battle Masters. You get the bonuses of them, and then you get to attack with them, and then after that, you get to KO them and give yourself a weapon, and then you get to another turn.
Right.
And now that another turns even become so important with being able, like we said, with extra blockers and like that, you can sequence the attacks there to kind of get around some of those heads or things like that, to where like you don't mind killing the body because you've got the extra turn to play the direct damage outside of combat, to get rid of the one health head, so they don't get another turn to attack with it and block with it. Like it's just it's just getting better. It's a lot. And then you combine it with something like Sky Shadow, to where you get a bigger character out of it somehow, and then you can play it twice if you need to pop Amundsen off and get another turn.
You didn't say it. I was gonna say it. Yo.
I mean, there was a point I've gotten Peace Through Tyranny, and I've played it 3 times in one game with Sky Shadow Horrible. Like, and it was a desperation every time, but like it's a distinct option, because played it once to get the Sky Shadow form, played it once to get my Ominous out, played it once to try to get another turn with Grax when my Horrible was tapped and they went after him, just with the way the sequencing went out. Right. And it was just like I don't think it was a great idea to do it, but I was like, I just want to do it just to do
it. That's always a thing, especially and sometimes it might end up working out. You know, just taking an extra turn 3 times in one game is absurd. But you know, definitely good for you in that situation. Absolutely. You know, I sit back and think about another aspect of Titan Masters that I actually want to explore more. Trapping your opponent. And when I say trapping your opponent, it gets to a point where actually sometimes some of your tap characters get locked, because once one Titan dies, the head pops off. And not actually the fact that I don't get to continuously attack on my characters, depending on if I have like Sky Shadow and Perceptor both attacking. I actually want Perceptor to kill the guy that I'm attacking and make the head pop off then. So that way you're forced to attack in with your head, and your other guys can't untap yet. And then Sky Shadow gets to unload, and I get to play another action and upgrade and hopefully go KO another one of your guys. And then if you still have another guy, he still can't untap because the head on that guy just popped off. So I think that's actually a potential trap. And I want to say that's a potential weakness of the Titan Masters if your opponent's playing like a 3-wide Titan Master deck, like the Quake deck. So that's something that I don't know exactly what I'm saying yet, but more and more I've noticed that you can actually kind of trap your opponent. So in a situation, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I've noticed some of the same things in mine. So like I'll do whatever I can sometimes, even if it's a stretch, to try to instead of getting rid of the one character, I don't really want to get rid of it, because then they're going to get the swing on the wheel, on the untap, they're going to be able to hit me. I'm like, no, if I can get rid of this guy, even if it takes more effort to pop that head off, more than likely you're not going to take all those cards in your hand and try to do something crazy with that head, because depending on what you're in the deck, obviously the orange ones with fusion bores and
it's a lot easier to go
like that. It's a lot easier,
right?
But a lot of times, then there's more answers to that, because then you can do a hold the line, and because you know the head's going to come in if you're able to get it. So that's something I've liked too, is being able to KO the character when you know you're forcing the head to pop off, and then you're not really stealing the turn, but you're effectively giving you the much better way out of the wheel, where they have to attack with that head then. And then you're like, okay, you know, I probably took 4 instead of possibly 8, and then we untap, and then I get to just hit your big guy, and or just then the head I can take care of out of combat when it gets to my turn, so I don't even care if it gets the one swing into it.
Exactly. And then a big thing, like you just said, hold the line. A lot of times that actually happened to me a little while ago. It took my opponent a while to think of a move, and I'm like, man, what's taking him so long? I know he's going to attack here, this and that. And I totally forgot. It's like, oh no, he can actually attack my Titan. And it's something I've done myself too, but it's not something I've zeroed in on. I think that's literally going to be like my plan. It's never been my plan before until like it happened on the fly. And it's like, oh, I can do this. And it's like, oh wow, look at that. Like I realized it after it happens. And now I'm actively looking for ways to trap my opponent. So in ways where, like you said, with hold the line, you can have, it's a feel bad when you have Kreb on like popped out, and then it's like, man, that's a hold the line, isn't it? That they have set. So it's like specifically hold the line for that one pivotal moment in a game can actually still win you the game. And I think, again, that's one of the weaknesses of the Titan Master. We got to try to exploit the weaknesses somehow. So I think that's something to definitely exploit and look forward to playing, especially in this the next tournament we have coming up. Shout out to the Vector Sigma. Is it? I don't know if it's called the Alpha Trion tournament, but is it?
I don't know. Something like that one again. Yeah, I'm not sure. But it's constructed instead of sealed.
Yeah, it's absolutely constructed, so that's what really matters. So, guys, if you haven't signed up yet, by the way, got to pay homage and shout out to that real quick. $15 for the tournament tier. You literally get everything back. Anybody from the Vector Sigma team cannot win anything. So, let's say 5 of us enter the tournament. 5 of us could get 1st through 5th place, and 6th through 9th place will get all the prizes. Or if I'm doing my math right, we literally can't win anything. So the money is just literally given back to you. You get to learn, you get to play, and get to be made better, especially in these trying times. You know, some type of high caliber competitive play. So definitely got to be excited for that, because I feel like literally every single round, no matter who you get paired with, you need to be on your toes and be prepared for a war. So
do it.
Do you have any ideas of what you're thinking about playing for the tournament, or do you not want to say?
I don't think I'm going to be able to play. Actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm actually moving next week.
Okay.
And then, I'm out of town the end of July. I still have my Gen Con dates off, and now I'm going up to a cabin in the woods just to get away from everything.
Hey, that's probably better than a tournament anyway.
So,
Shoot, getting away. There you go. Okay.
But slight spoiler here, I may be doing some guest commentary instead.
Okay.
For Dan Scott, so that's a little bit of a maybe spoiler there. So if the stars align, I might jump in there just to kind of help out with that.
That'd be cool to see you on there. You're very well spoken, so I can definitely see you, especially Rich Wyatt. Shout out to Rich Wyatt for transformmediagame.net. Can absolutely see you guys on commentary. Y'all would be great.
Yeah, I'm interested because I think if I don't play, I got a little bit idea of seeing if I get the deck list beforehand to do a little bit of get the notes in and just kind of make some more informed commentary on it. Just because I don't know, I don't think they're gonna do open deck list because they did it for the first one. They did it for the last one for Seal just to make sure everyone managed the pools right.
Right.
So I'll be curious if that. I don't think we'll probably do open deck list, but a lot of things I've been playing and have been doing that lately with the online one, so it's been really interesting.
Okay.
But with sideboarding, I don't know. I don't think I'd like it for that, but I'll be curious to see.
Yeah. Hey, well, you know what? We're doing 4 tournaments into a 5th tournament kind of invitational type thing. So if you can't get into this one, there's always another one. So. You know,
oh yeah.
Absolutely, definitely. Okay. All right. Well, let's actually get back on track here, and I have a couple more questions for you for the comp camp itself. And so, what is one of the coolest plays you've ever done in the game that you can potentially remember? Scott's being. I'm trying to think of. Nah, I forgot Scott's too. It was something with Datapad and Optimus and Kai. I have to go back and look. But what is one of your favorite plays?
That's a tough one.
I know, right? That kind of like.
I don't think of anything that's like I've done. I would just say one of my favorite ones, maybe not just a play, just kind of a whole deck building decision in general. So I played Galaxy Prime down at the Orlando PPT, and I kind of made a sideboard choice and put in Infiltrates, which a lot of people weren't doing. And that card pretty much won me my round 1 matchup, fizzling a Bolt 6 Focus Fire. Woo. So just kind of just having that card inciting it and knowing when to play it in there, knowing when Springer was going to try to unload to pull it off. Right. Pretty much just stonewalled and let me 2-0 that matchup. Going into it, so maybe not a full play there, but just kind of a full picture that was like, I found value in testing from that card, and obviously it's a little more situational, but it was in there for that matchup, and it pulled its weight in gold and got me the round one W for that one.
Card is very unexpected too to be used. The same with Take Cover now, talking about Wave 5. I've dabbled with Infiltrate now and then. I'm playing it a lot more than I ever have because, again, Feast of Tyranny is just absurd. So, especially if you can get it set with a Spy Bastard's Roost, that's probably the best case scenario because then, you won't have to hope they play it, then they play like a black icon card or a white, Heat of Battle or whatever the case is for the turn. So, absolutely, Infiltrate is one of those sleeper cards that I think is worth playing. So, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of it since it came out and wanting to find a place for it. So it's been kind of one of mine. Like playing it in Shockwave even. So I was with the just Secret Action synergy there. It was still usually worth it in some matchups. So
absolutely. Yeah, negating your opponent's stuff is definitely solid. I like the addition to that. I'm in agreement. All right, next up. Favorite deck you've played thus far in the entire game?
Blaster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, easy. Blaster by a mile.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that deck is savage. Like you said, the free plays that you get, one-shot stand or whatever. Or, unless you get improvised shield like I get a little more often than not. It's
feels bad. I think I did that a couple of times against you in our finals matchup down there. And I had flipped so hot all day. It was bound to finally catch up. I had one game where I did the blaster flip, popped over a one-shot stand, one-shot fall, played a field communicator, and flipped over another one-shot stand, and I was just like, I feel awful, and you probably think I stacked the deck right now, and it's just like, well, it was one of those things, and I was just like,
yeah, that's savage. Man.
Like, just kind of as I talked about earlier, just anything that lets you kind of, like, cheat the sequence, and Blasters is king of that with what you can play him in, so it's just a ton of fun. I gotta say, most competitive deck, definitely him. And then at the end of Wave 4, I was playing Off-Road Patrol with Lionizer as kind of like a take on David Burgos's orange-black deck that he wrecked with down in Orlando and did very well. And that was just, I love playing that too. It was just a ton of fun throwing the top little dudes out there, guaranteeing damage, and just like seeing if I could flip the black disc when I needed it. It was probably actually did pretty well against a lot of the stuff I was trying to go to do well against, like Jetfire and Galaxy. It actually, I got it running pretty efficiently against those guys. Aggro still gave it some trouble just because of how tiny they were.
Right,
but I would say something along that, and then the deck's just been, I don't think about it as fondly now how easy it is to play something like that with this wave with all the orange-black, and then Magray just makes it cry a little bit.
Yeah, one Magray might make you flinch a little bit when they play it. So,
yep.
And then against Sky Shadow too. But I kind of hope that the deck is just so aggressive still, and it is 4-wide, that with enough direct damage in between like confidence and things, they could actually just kind of potentially still overwhelm those decks. So I'm actually curious to like run Blaster into the some of the top decks, Sky Shadow variants or whatever.
Because he was kind of a Titan Master before they existed, with being able to deploy another character. Kind of same way with Metroplex. They kind of operated kind of along the same axis.
Right.
Obviously a little different. But being able to get the free play off of it is kind of very reminiscent of getting an extra attack, because you're getting some sort of free play with bringing that character in.
Right.
So yeah, I've been finally going to get a chance to play this a little bit with a bunch of different Blaster variants, and I'm just not sure which one I'm going to enjoy the most, but still enjoy playing them when I get bored and I want to break something out, even if I don't think he's the best. I'm like, all right, Blaster, pull him out of the deck box.
Right. Hey, well, I have like 9 decks built, and one of them are definitely Blaster. So whether I get it on stream this weekend coming up, or sometime, I have actually, I think 1 or 2 gameplay videos that need to be posted sometime here in the future. But yeah, definitely. Now I gotta say though that underhanded tactics was the only reason that I was able to end up winning that game. Otherwise, you had the entire match. But I had it in my hand like a couple turns prior, planning ahead, and I'm like, if this just happens this way, I think I'm good. And luckily it ended up working out.
Actually, brings me back to something I was thinking of when we were talking about with the heads and everything, that kind of play, is that I won't take the KO with direct damage, even if I have it on a Titan Master, until I can get that where they're about to be tapped out and the head will be the last one. So I'm kind of using it then of when to take that KO instead of just like, you have it, play it. I'm just holding it a turn.
Kind of like that trap thing we were talking about earlier.
So like hold it until, like, if you're the last attack and they're tapped out, get a KO on that head that turn, if possible, and then, or that Titan Master, and then pop that head out. So I've done that a couple of times where I'll hold and just not take the KO. But then you got to play. It's a lot more mind games this set too, because then it's like, well, if they're orange, are they holding the piece through Tyranny? Do you have a way to, like, are you okay if they play that piece through Tyranny?
Right.
Like, just kind of those kind of things you got to think about. So then kind of slowly been messing in with the kind of brings to play of hand disruption is going to be something that might be more prominent too in the next set. That might be a way to counter all of this.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Espionage, not necessarily just counter espionage, but espionage I went back to. I played it a lot in wave 2 and 3 and some in 4, and I kind of forgot about it for a while, and then I went back and I'm like, wait, if I'm just playing espionage or counter espionage, why can't I play espionage? I think counter espionage orange decks like more, and espionage blue decks like more, but just even in general, I can see orange decks just disrupting your opponent and calling, and if you can get rid of their piece to Tyranny, a lot of times, I feel like I lose games only to piece to Tyranny, and it's like, well, it is what it is. It's like the more often you see that card in your hand now, the more often it gets used, and it's just like, it's actually getting kind of redundant and like, okay, all right, that's enough. you know what I mean? So I definitely think that hand disruption, not to a maximum extent, but definitely will have some help, which still gives me hope for Shockwave. You know what I mean? Because like Shockwave can play. I mean, I think his one of his biggest issues was playing direct damage comfortably, and you're able to do that now with cards like Magnetic Dysfunction Ray, since it's a Decepticon card. But then, all in all, you still have to have it on top of your deck or draw the card. So,
he's just a little. He feels 1 star too much now.
Yeah, because you can't play a Titan and things. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can play him with like Fangry in a head, but then you're sitting there, you're playing one of the Airstrike Patrols if you want to Decepticon, which isn't really the worst, but it definitely limits his options.
Yeah,
and they're maybe
but he clearly has Night Racer who has clear synergy. It's just like, dang, that sucks. Yep, I agree. Question about that. I guess I can kind of, because well, now I'll leave that alone. Cup. Do you think that Cup and Fangry / Horrible, they both should have been 6 stars? Like, Autobots get 1, Decepticons get 1, or are you fine with Fangry and Horrible both being 6 stars? Do you think Cup should have been one of the 6 stars, and then Fangry should have been a 7 like Cup is, or Horrible should have been a 7?
I'm generally okay with what they are. Like, everyone's got to see here, like, yes, they're obviously probably the best for their star cost. Though obviously Fangry and horrible. Like I just don't think there's a way around like that. They are Cup, especially since you have to damage yourself to get his ability. Does feel like he might be a little expensive. I've played him a little bit though.
Yeah.
I've got Wreckers with Perceptor, Cup, Ron. That's been fun, but obviously just has its limitations in this set there.
No Magray.
Yep, yeah. Magray, and it wants to play a little more blue, just to kind of get the full synergy of some of the characters in the plays. But I've gone back. I got to go back and tweak that one because I played it early on. It was fun. It kind of could still push damage pretty well. Had to play a lot of blank pips though to kind of be effective between one-shot stands and showing offs. So
that's not fun. I gotta say though, I really wish something as small as I wish his effect said, whenever one of your records take damage, they get the boost until the end of your turn. So what that means is on your opponent's turn, if they do Magray you, that's 2 damage, and then if I came in and crashed myself, that's another 1, so that's 3. So like I get that boost to the end of my turn. So that way you kind of get punished for playing those powerful cards, and you didn't kill my my record or whatever.
I'll be curious because there aren't really any sort of effects that last until the next turn in this game. So I don't know if that's just something they haven't explored yet, or that's not something you actually want to bring in. Because obviously this plays a little different than like Magic with like instants and cancels and all that fun stuff. So I'll be curious if that's something they end up deciding, but I think it's one of the factors that makes the game stand out is that while there's interaction, it's kind of just relegated to not a lot of things are tracking over from turn to turn, so not as much gets lost.
Right.
And I just don't know if things carry over like that. I'll be curious if there's a sort of like, because like I said, when there's like poison and burn and it's kind of special effects that stay into play into turns. So I would be curious if something like that happens, if there's like a stun to where there's a potential chance like a tripwire, but like maybe doesn't like tap them, but like if they try to attack, like it just does nothing. So
that would be cool.
Things like that, like status conditions. Because like you could see that a lot, just from the lore. Like I mean, they hit guys with electrical bolts and stun them.
Right. Yeah, that's actually pretty.
So I'd be curious if there's some bonuses, like you said, like if you hit them with that effect, their attacks reduced on the next turn, or like kind of keeps the opponent playing something. But that's just, I mean, we're very early into the life of the card game, so obviously, see where they want to take it.
Right, for sure. So my next question is, how do you think the Wave 5 metagame will be shaped up? Well, we actually kind of answered that question earlier, but I'm going to still ask that, but in conjunction with another question that you could probably answer more on, about do you think there are enough cards currently to make a brand new deck, like not have to use so many of the old cards, and that you think that the newer cards are so much more powerful, kind of specifically in Wave 4 and 5, some from Wave 3, that Waves 1 and 2 are phased out completely? Or do you still find value in like the older cards to make a full circle type deck and like pull, incoming transmission or whatever every once in a while to a newer deck or treasure hunt or whatever?
I still think this is a pretty good balance. Obviously your checkpoints and PS3 tyrannies are probably going to be a 3 of in most decks. I'll say most because obviously there's going to be some weird stuff that's off the wall that doesn't need them for what it's trying to accomplish.
Right.
But at least those two, I mean, I've already experimented with cutting down out completely improvised shield in some decks. Add them in, add them out. I've kind of, depending on like just what I want to do there with those, but improvised shield and handheld blaster, I've definitely been cutting down to like 2, maybe 1. If I go down to 1, I'm just getting rid of it entirely. Handheld blaster seems like an easier cut these days. Improvised shield too. The other ones are gonna stay, but like I'm still playing Energon axes and the occasional. Not as much bigger they are actually. I've been cutting that a lot, which seems really strange. But until there's like a big blue wall or some way you need to push a lot of damage again, it just seems like maybe not the most effective in how I've been building, I guess, my blue shells or my controls at this point. They're definitely a little different, so the cards are just kind of changing, but like your Energon axes are still going to be good. Still throw treasure hunt in a few things now and then, just because some decks really want a certain utility, certain weapons, certain armor, and you just make sure you want to find it. And then, I don't know, it kind of changes. It seems like the things that are going away are kind of getting replaced by cards that you can give back with like a green pip. So anything you can find, like your removals, like those kind of cards get phased out when easier removal comes back in. I know we kind of had the conversation that Smelt might even be a decent choice again over Reprocess in some of the blue decks, because a lot of it you don't really want to, because what you're using to get rid of is the enhanced power cell a lot, which has seen a lot more play than energy pack compared to just it works on more characters, obviously not needing to be 10 stars.
Right.
And you're really not getting that great of a trade-off. Then you're healing them 2 to get rid of 3, so like you're kind of get 1 there. So like smelt, because a lot of times a lot of the upgrades that are getting played, especially in aggro decks, just aren't sticking around.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. Yep. They're falling off. Fusion bore, obviously grenade launcher. Exactly. Yep.
And fusion bore is pretty much what I think of there. The only things that usually stick around then are those health upgrades. Occasionally a bashing shield, so it'd feel bad, but like you probably wouldn't play the smell to get rid of that anyways.
Right.
Like a reprocess. So like if that sticks around, like I said, most things aren't sticking around with any upgrades that stay. The only ones I've seen a lot of, like some disruptor blades, escape capsules, power cells, increased durability, kind of hollow matter projectors. So a lot of things are only getting down like 1 upgrade a turn anyways. That's going to stick. So
I found myself going back to enforcement batons as well, because more and more people that I've played against are playing Paralazo box, and that one sticks, and that's still a grenade launcher. And you know what? If they hit the color correctly, that's still a grenade launcher. Like no matter how much gamble is involved with it, because I know that's why a lot of people some people don't play the card. But hey, gamble's a gamble sometimes. And but I found that a really old school play of playing Bastion Shield to get rid of the armor, and then now your utility is exposed, then play the Smelt was a really good play. Or play batons to get rid of your Energon Axe, then play the Smelt to get rid of utility was also a really cool play. Or even if it's getting rid of an armor, like if I have batons to get rid of your Energon Axe, now play Smelt to get rid of your increased durability. So it kind of acted as a Bastion Shield. So I always thought that play was really cool. We're not in those times where mid to late game Galaxy has an arm hovercraft, 2 matrices, and an energy pack, and then Flamemore has a Scoundrel's Blaster, so they have options to just get rid of whatever. So yeah, definitely a lot of more value in Smelt these days.
I have a lot of my aggro decks. I've just kind of punted on getting rid of utilities, and I'm pretty much going with 1 Bashing Shield, 1 Disassemble, and a lot of them.
Yep.
It's kind of, if I really need it there, a lot of times I'm just kind of at 2 Bashing Shield at this point, and I'm just like, the weapons, like I said, most of them are falling off. Like there's occasionally, but like with your javelins, your fusion bores, your grenade launchers, disruptor blades, if they don't flip the black pit, like a lot of stuff's going away. So I've kind of just pick the poison, I guess, is kind of where it's gone, for at least in my deck building choices for this wave.
Okay. Now, a new question I want to add to this series actually right now, and it's very relevant, and it will be until we get Wave 6 and see what kind of answers we get, because how we talked about Wave 4 was an answer to the aggressiveness in Wave 3, then Wave 5 was an answer to the aggressive or the control in Wave 4. So now we're going to have an answer to the Pierce in Wave 6. Blue, actually, as it currently stands right now, and I know you're a big advocate of the blue Preceptor Sky Shadow deck, and I'm personally, and it's funny because I love blue, but yet still I'm a big advocate of actually aggro Preceptor Sky Shadow. I like that version a lot more than blue for some reason. I don't know why. I just gravitated more towards that version. Don't get me wrong, I still like the blue version, but you are a big advocate for that. But even outside of the Preceptor Sky Shadow deck, because that deck is already very strong itself, how do you think blue is going to be overall? Do you think secret actions are going to be the mainstay in the way that blue stays in the game? What do you think about tough? Do you think tough is all the way out? I personally don't think tough is all the way out. I think you still need some amount of tough. Something that I've noticed, and I'm going to say this and have you take the floor. I've noticed that a lot of attacks are usually like, outside of like Fusion Bore, I mean, of course they're going to hit a super high Pierce number, but a lot of their attacks are like X Pierce 4, maybe X Pierce 5 sometimes. It just depends on how slanted their orange-black deck is, or for attacking anyway. And it also depends on if they have a character that's bold, etc. But it's like, I think you can't take tough all the way out of your decks, all the way out. Like I get we're not playing 3 hidden fortification anymore. We're not playing 2 sparring gear. No, we're not doing that. But if you take all of your tough out, but then your opponent's keeping the bold, eventually they're still going to override you with the orange anyway. So screw the Pierce. The Pierce doesn't even matter at that point. They're still hitting like a crazy high 12 while you have your rock, paper, scissors armor. Sure, you got the boost, like so sturdy armor. Sure, I got the extra 2 defense, but then I only flip like a blank because I'm playing showing off, and then I flip a black. So now I legit only have my static, and they have 12 Pierce 6. Pierce 6 doesn't matter. I'm actually taking 9. So that's actually still a problem. I think you actually have to get to a point where, and this is a lot of math, kind of could potentially hurt your head, but I think you still have to get to a point where you still just block a lot of their orange and at least let them get in for their pierce. Now, what I've actually said about orange in general, when you think about it, the black icon was really there to help orange decks. Blue decks really didn't obviously need the black icon, though there are blue-black decks, but orange just needed to be able to get some type of damage in to progress the game state, because before it was block for 12, attack me for 13, all right, I block for 12, I only take 1. Now I'm at least taking 3 or 4. So what do you think about blue and the direction they need to go?
I don't think tough is as dead as you made it, just because, as you've kind of noted, unless your deck's running super efficiently, there's always going to be some sort of leftover.
Right.
However, playing horrible Sky Shadow, I found playing the right weapons at the right time really negates a lot of that.
Yeah.
Depending on how you deal the damage.
Yep.
So, like, there's still sometimes you're just going to take, especially with Sky Shadow, you're going to take 11 Pierce 11, and it's going to hurt.
And ain't nothing you can do about that one, yeah. And like, even stable cover, that's one reason, by the way, I really don't like stable cover that much, because Sky Shadow's coming in with Pierce 4, and it's like...
So I really like stable cover still, but it's in combination with Sky Shadow himself.
Oh,
so I think tough is still important, and I think it's really good on characters that have tough already on the card. I don't like cards that give tough as much.
Right.
Still, Hidden Fortification is good, but I don't like the tough armors. But I think characters with inborn tough are still can be very relevant. And having played a lot of Sky Shadow with Perceptor, having that character have tough too, the tank, I send it out first if I have to. It gets hit. If they're not playing a lot of black and just a few, you get lucky on the flips depending on what you are. Because like I said, that deck isn't very blue as traditional. I think it's somewhere the version I had only has like 27 blue pips in the deck.
Yep.
But you still have the chances where I'm going to flip 3 double blues out of this, and I'm going to take 1 damage, and I just stonewalled an attack still. So it's still I think tough's definitely still relevant. It's more relevant if it's already printed on the character.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I kind of found the same thing in combination with characters with tough and stable cover. Depending on what it has. Tough, the extra +1, denying the pierce. Like, having a stable cover down is let my Sky Shadow just live when they're trying to hunt for that pierce. Right. But it's in combination, that +1 is what I actually really like about it. Kind of an underrated aspect. I kind of forget it sometimes, and someone's like, you have +1, and I'm like, oh, I do. I was just kind of, so just anything, like if you able to stack that +1 and no pierce with one of the reflex circuits, is usually what I end up, or a hollow matter projector, another just kind of base +1. And then in combination with the tough, like it can still be a lot to try to chew through.
Right.
But I think
Night Racer, because Night Racer, you get tough from Night Racer, and that actually helps too with stable cover. So. Yep. Yeah,
so I think it's just kind of different. I think there's definitely needs more of a combination of answers that the deck needs to run now. So like you just can't rely on tough itself. Like I said earlier, you know, my Galaxy Prime sitting there with the sparring gear and a Hidden Fortification out and Flame War. That's just kind of not going to happen as much. There's still, I think Galaxy's still probably decently solid. I haven't played them too much, but just he's kind of already does what you kind of want to do now and scale your health. So we can kind of talk about that in a little bit. Get away from the tough.
That's cool.
But I just think it's just still good. Just like I said, more for the characters, and it's just more of a combination of things now you need to combine it with.
Right.
Obviously,
it's not hiding behind tough every turn and just defending for these huge big wall numbers. You got to kind of get away from that just a bit.
And then you can now, just with end hostilities, like you don't have to be afraid to kind of splash your colors a little bit. Like I said, I've enjoyed playing Peace Through Tyranny in my blue-ish Perceptor Sky Shadow because it's just too strong not to.
Yep.
With that lineup of characters, with Sky Shadow, Peace Through Tyranny, I don't care if you're playing in blue or white, you should probably have it in there. If you have a way to get it easily, which obviously Perceptor, it all works together there. But being able to, like, you know, you put down an end hostilities, and now I'm sitting there and I've got a potential 9 double blues that can come up, depending on what's there.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just kind of about, I think you have to know a little bit more now when to play your tough cards, if you do play them. Because you got to know, like, well, I've already I've ripped through all my checkpoints and handheld blasters. Is this Hidden Fortification even going to be worth playing down, depending on how much blue you actually play?
Right.
So I haven't enjoyed Hidden Fortification as much as I definitely have in the past, but my blue decks aren't playing as much blue, so it's just not as good of a card.
Right, right.
that aspect too, other than obviously if it's getting hit with a bunch of Pierce. So I still think it has its place, but just a different aspect of it.
I'm glad you said that because I totally agree with you. I think in the beginning, I honestly did think I was like, oh man, tough sucks. But as I started playing more and more games, and the game, like we got the set released, the set got pushed back from April 17th to May 29th. But even 2 weeks prior to April 17th, we've had the set all the way since then. So from all those games I've played since 2 weeks prior to that into May, etc., I've noticed what you're talking about and things like that. And going back to stable cover, I think my issue with stable cover is I look at history repeats itself type thing. Bugs were able to get away with 3 one-shot stand, 1-shot fall, and 3 eyes still function and still be the best orange deck. So you didn't have to have another 6 oranges. You were able to get away. Same with the double prime deck. You were able to play 3 one-shot stand, 1-shot fall, and 3 plasma bursts. So that makes me look back at my decks when I'm defending with either the Pounce Perceptor Night Racer deck, or if I were to play blue Sky Shadow. You say you have about 27-inch blues. That's more on the lower end, but clearly you have to supplement for things like showing off and then the black icons you play in the deck. So seeing the success that you have and knowing that you play that deck the way you do in terms of stable cover, and like you don't need as many blues, but you just needed to stop your opponent from getting to a certain, stop your opponent to a certain extent. I think I look back when I talk about history repeating itself, playing the showing off, then playing the stable covers, then also playing Fusion Board and things like that. It's just like I think I've had bad experiences with it because I just like keep flipping them on defense and like I don't have the secret. You know what I mean? I don't know. So maybe I'm having. So that's my issue with stable cover right now. So if I do play it, I'm even actually playing 2 showing off some of my Perceptive decks. I know the VS guys will probably be like, you're crazy if you're doing that, but that's how much it's annoying, especially on defense, because you're still taking these giant numbers from these aggressive. Oh yeah,
I've been sitting there with a Sky Shadow before. I'm like, all right, I'm tough too. I just need to flip 3 blue pips out of this, and I'll come over and I'll even show a white, and I'll have 1 blue, and I'll just kind of like put my head in my hands, and I'm like,
exactly.
There's still 27 of you in there.
Right, like, that's my problem. That's my problem. Yep. So stable cover is a good card. I said it was trash before. I think I was just pissed off at the situation. Like even I think you love the card because it's a health shockwave, but I don't know. Like you said, I think it's just another one of those you got to play it at the right time type cards. But against like cards like Sky Shadow, I'd rather have Sky Shadow. I don't even know if In Hostilities is good enough against Sky Shadow. Sky Shadow's just a giant. Like when you play a Fusion Board on him and then you have a stable cover, it's like, all right, I'll stop the Pierce 7, but he's still 11 bolt 2. Don't forget about my oranges. So 16. Block for 4.
Yeah, so and Hostilities and stable cover have still been like, obviously I think the 2 that I've gotten the most. Yeah. Maybe not the most use out of, but it's like those 2 have been great. And Hostilities has literally saved my pounds like multiple times from getting the 11, like the super murder. Like I've played against a lot of like 4 wide Sky Shadow that are just like big orange ridiculousness, and like they swung in and were like 11 Pierce 11 and then flipped a bunch of orange, like 16 Pierce 11. Like there's an end hostility, so I'll just take the 11 and live with
11. Yeah,
but like at least
that's an issue. That's an issue.
No, yeah, because the amount of times I played him and like you're just hitting for 11 Pierce 11 is really ridiculous. Like Gold 2 Fusion Board or Pierce 7 to start 11.
Yeah,
he's good.
Exactly. That's just a lot. That's a lot to deal with. Like you deal with everything else, 2 layers of peace through tyrannies, 3 if you count the other character that you're playing. And then by the way, and then at the end of everything, my little guy, he still probably is gonna have Pierce 4. Like
so I said I've had really good success against Sky Shadow with Sky Shadow.
Yeah, yeah. How do you beat Sky Shadow? Sky Shadow. You only have but so many stable covers. Like if anything, honestly, I wish stable cover was a black green. I know I'm asking for a lot, but I only have I might find 1 stable cover throughout the entire game while your guys already have Pierce. It's not like they have to work for Pierce; they already have it. So
I guess like we talked about earlier, like the next level might just be a soft reprint of some of these with green pips. Like, is that a point defense system with the green, and maybe it reduces Pierce 3 now? Like, they're kind of incremental stepping up to where it is just kind of seems how they're willing to print some of these cards. And then, like I said, for that come back to that, like, I just can't see more direct damage cards coming out that are back to this level.
That's good, right?
Yeah, so I would actually see probably more along the blue spectrum, like kind of like the marksmanships.
Right. Yeah. By the way, I've actually teched that card a couple times in a couple decks. I underestimated it before because like we're in Titan Master City right now. But you know what? It feels good to pop a Kreb like easily.
Yeah, not have to damage yourself. Yeah.
You know, so I know it's like, are you going to hold the card for the entire game? Yes, sometimes, but you know what? There are cards that I wait forever to play sometimes anyway. So you know, I don't know. It depends. Like I said, it's a tech card like in Galaxy. I put one back in and stuff. But one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to or blue decks rather, and then with them dealing with all the black. And then, by the way, one card we actually haven't mentioned not one time this entire podcast is Belligerence. So not only do blue decks have to worry about the black icon and trying to deal with Pierce, and we're talking about potential cards to help with Pierce. Oh, by the way, there's still Belligerence that'll just turn off all your blue, and there's no wall for you to hide behind. But before we go talking to Belligerence, and then the next couple of questions, this will be done here soon, guys. Appreciate you being here with me, by the way. This is a great conversation. WTC is not a fan of the wall up strategy, and time has always been a thing. And honestly, I thought when we got the heavy black icons that we have in wave 5 along with Belligerence, I'm like, oh, games will be faster. Games are still longer because of the Titan, because of decisions with Perceptor flips, and that goes for you and your opponent for them trying to pick piles. Again, I thought that WTC was doing this to help kind of speed up the game, but actually really didn't speed up the game. It just complicated things more. There's a lot of annoying Quake instances that we're still trying to figure out and wait for WTC to get some information on. So we're just in a very interesting time. And, you know, it's just unfortunate we didn't have any tournaments to be able to truly test and see what's going on and see what guys on the other side of the country are playing or whatever, you know, and things like that. But yeah, overall, that's just a big digression of me just kind of wondering, like I said, kind of the same things you're wondering. We're in that same ballpark. Just a couple of things I'm just kind of just blurting out of my mind of what I'm thinking about. But Belligerence, let's talk about that last piece of it when we talk about the ups and downs of blue right now. And what do you think about Belligerence besides, well, no, never mind. What do you think about Belligerence?
So when it first got previewed, kind of probably same reaction as a lot of people was like, what, like,
seriously?
Yeah, like, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, that one card pretty much already decided that tough probably wasn't going to be a thing as it was. Right. Obviously, in hostilities with how it goes counteracts it, but then you already have to have that set before that. And
right.
Then, I actually have not played Belligerence that much. I have it in my decks, but it's been a sideboard card a lot.
Yeah.
Just because people haven't played blue, and if they do, it's been a little different.
Right.
So the Belligerence hasn't necessarily been hasn't made its way into my main deck in a lot of my orange builds. It's been there in the side, but it's also, I found it just it's as siding it in some blue decks, but even then I haven't as much because I'm not running as many blue pips as I normally would. So like I've just kind of replaced it with direct damage in blue. So that's kind of my damage pumps have become direct damage for blue. Like there's no more leaps into battles for me or anything. It's more like there's Canyon crashes and one shot stands, and I'm playing hovercrafts and javelins instead, things like that. So it's obviously, if people are still going to run out there and I'm going to slap on my sparring gear and hidden fortification, like you're going to get hit with the Belligerence and it's going to feel really, really bad. Like you're like, all right, I flipped eight blues. No, you didn't. Like you just got hit.
Your base defense is all you got. Yep.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Like actually, I think the card that like the deck that when I first came out was like, well, that's just Galaxy Prime loves Belligerence just on his own. He wanted to almost have it in it because it would help proc his ability, and then also just how kind of Wreck was out there. But then obviously after the rest of the spoilers came out, that just kind of necessarily may not be the case. Like I said, haven't played.
Wait, hold on. Did you say it helps proc his ability?
Yeah. So when he's attacking, I'm just saying more like having it as the pip in the deck.
Oh, just like it just helps with attacking in general. Yes, yeah, for that.
Yeah, so when he attacked, not necessarily that, but like it was a good orange.
Like your matrix of leadership become double oranges now, etc. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so then it kind of helped on that.
Yeah.
I liked it. I definitely like it in decks that aggressive decks that I could play that wanted to play like rollouts and matrices. So like I was messing around with like an orange tanks build with Megatron and things like that, and Impactor that, you know, you played the Matrix because Impactor can hold it, and you like the rollouts because you still want to flip everything in. If you can't flip your Titan Masters with it, you still want to flip the other guys, and then with Hunker Downs, you want to have those in a tank. So like it definitely has a home. That's been where I think I've had the most brainstorming ideas with it, because there's a lot of chances where like, well, everything in that deck can run potentially like 12 double oranges if you play that card then.
Yeah.
So like, it definitely by itself influenced, like we talked about earlier, how the tough, it's one of those, but I personally, I don't think I've actually played the card from my hand. Instead, I play Belligerence. I've had it as an option, but I don't think I've really brought it in. But then again, like I said, I played against so much more aggro too, where it doesn't help you in that one. So that's why I think it's definitely kind of a warping card, but I'm not sure. It's more of like the boogeyman over the shoulder. So it's kind of like got this different thing, like, you know, you can't play all that tough because you never know, because someone's going to, you're still going to side it, I think, no matter what. You're never going to, I don't think, not play it. It's kind of one of those things like the boogeyman's like, oh, are you going to side your hijacks because someone might play combo? It's just kind of like that looming threat to where as soon as someone's like, you know what, I'm not going to play Belligerence this tournament, or you know what, the hidden fortification on the tough, you may just take that Pierce 4 and just like you block everything else. Like, so it's just kind of one of those things. As soon as you don't expect it to show up, things could get flipped on its head. So, but obviously we don't kind of get that feeling as much without the big tournaments happening this year. But it's always something just coming from a lot of different games with larger tournament pools. As soon as you think like, oh, no one will play that, it's gonna show up, and if you're more prepared for it, you're just gonna have a bad time.
Absolutely, I agree. That's all the more reason why with Belligerence I tried for that exact those exact reasons that you stated is why in the beginning I was like, oh, I'm gonna main deck 2 and stuff like that, and then I realized, like you're saying, like, oh, okay, it doesn't do much obviously because 70-80% of the field is probably gonna be aggro. But I've been looking into playing decks with like the General Optimus Prime from Wave 3 that are super mixed, and that takes advantage of literally both. I've actually been trying to fit, like I played Belligerence in hostilities in Fortress Maximus. I mean, he's on the card, first of all. Like, he loves those cards because it really helps him on attack, and it definitely helps him on defense. And then I'm, like I said, mixed decks with the General Optimus Prime with Cup and like Brawn. Of course, then we look at Mag Ray and Sky Shadow and Cry. But then also blue Sky Shadow Preceptor. Like, if I were to play it, I have a list built on Fortress Maximus that plays 3 Pieces of Tyranny, and then it plays 3 in hostilities, but then I play at least 2 Belligerents, and then I'll side on the 3rd when I am playing against blue. So that way, when I do open with Belligerents, when I send Tank in first, I'm assuming he's going to get 4, maybe 6 with a Piece of Tyranny flip or whatever, and then he's going to hopefully defend well. Then on my next turn, all of a sudden my blue deck turns orange, and my plane gets to be ridiculous, you know, with the Belligerence play. And then also, depending on when your Sky Shadow combines as well, you're able to, like, maybe you get a turn where you might Piece through Tyranny because your opponent's tapped out. You get an attack with Sky Shadow for Pierce 4, etc. Then you stand back up. Then your next turn you go, you know, Arm Hovercraft Belligerence on your Sky Shadow, and now he's 9 Pierce 4, Bolt 2, and all of your blues are oranges now. So I've been looking for ways to be able to utilize both of them. Not every deck's able to do it like that, but definitely, like, those are 2 big options. The General Prime deck, and especially the Sky Shadow Preceptor deck specifically, because how Preceptor can fish for stuff. But yeah, so definitely a very interesting card. I'm glad, thank goodness, for in hostilities though, because I think things will be a lot worse than they are now without in hostilities. So definitely looking forward to that. All right, man. So again, Nick, I appreciate you being here with me. But before I let you go, man, I got one more question for you, and that is, what is one or so tips that you have for any new players coming into the game, or actually any other players that have been in the game but haven't actually had their hands on Wave Type Master of the Deck just yet? Of course, we're still in these trying times, unfortunately, so not a lot of people have even gotten product or got as much product as they wanted to be able to test this deck or that deck or this interaction or that interaction. So what is one or more tips that you potentially have for new players and or such?
So a Wave 5, if you haven't got it this yet, Sky Shadow is good. Learn to play with it, learn to play against it. Kind of the same thing with Horrible. I've kind of said before that if you plan on playing in any of these like online tournaments or anything, webcam for Vectis Sigma, webcam games with the group, and you want to try to go, if you can't beat Horrible Sky Shadow, probably need to start figuring out how you're going to beat Horrible Sky Shadow, because that deck is just, I kind of become the litmus test for this wave for me.
Yes.
Where if I can't beat that, I would not feel comfortable playing with that deck at any sort of high stakes tournament, unless you want to try to like roll the room and just avoid that matchup.
Yep.
And then also just kind of get used to playing with Titan Masters in general too. They definitely, like we said, change kind of the attack sequences. Like, you're going to forget that the heads come off on tap, so you think you're going to do this, but that's actually your opponent's turn, so you left yourself open instead of actually stealing the turn like you thought you were going to do.
Or even bigger, Sky Shadow untapping. You think you're attacking into one, and then you throw the javelin at the other one. You're not attacking. You kill the other one, and then all of a sudden he combines, and then you're like, oh, wait, hold up. Wait, something just happened I wasn't expecting. Or you're attacking another guy or whatever. But you still attack Sky Shadow when they combine. But yeah, definitely very important.
And then also just play with Perceptor and play against Perceptor. Like you said before earlier, it adds a lot more thinking to the game. You just want to get used to making those decisions quickly. And then just kind of thinking about it helps you just kind of overall think turns ahead. Because sometimes the Perceptor player, you don't really want anything that's flipped at that immediate moment. But you got to figure out what you're going to need more than likely the next turn, the turn after that, 3-4 turns down the road. And then as the opponent, like, you got to think about, all right, so what's the worst case scenario that they do this turn with those cards that come up? Or like, what do you not want them to be able to do next turn? And just kind of things like that. It adds just a different sort of decision point to the game that we haven't had before. Like you said before, kind of to slow things down. I think that'll get better with time as more people see it, more people play with it. But obviously getting a hold of them's been a little bit tough now with some of the things going on. But hopefully by the time events start back up again, everyone's had a chance to get one in hand. They can blame Dan if they really don't like the card. Big fan of that. So for Titan Masters, that's for Wave 5. That's kind of been what I've done here. Just kind of game overall. I know you're a big fan of this too, but just like always, just be aware of what's in your scrap pile and what's not.
Huge.
Yep.
People get annoyed when they see me doing it. I know they do, but it's
huge. And like even if it's just like, I mean, depending on, like, obviously, even like in friendly games, we'll be like, hey, how many of your double blues are in there? How many double oranges do I have in mind? Like, I'm not always looking maybe for exact counts of things.
Right.
I'm like, okay, have they flipped over? Like, is there removal? Is it all in the scrap pile? Is it safer to play this instead of that?
Or all their piece through tyranny's gone because now I can make this play now and not play scared or do this and that because of that. Yeah.
Yep, and then it just kind of just let you make better informed decisions. So with the amount of information, like pay attention to what's flipped a lot of times because like it'll just give you clues. Like checking the scrap, it'll be like, okay, I didn't realize they were gonna main deck that card. It's just one of those things that help you kind of think about the big picture of the game, especially because you got to realize like if your deck's not playing like a lot of bold or tough, like you might not see those cards again if things go south. Or if you're like, oh, that'll get shuffled back up. But I'll make some decisions on like attacking. I'm sure you do the same thing. Like, okay, I have 2 guys get to attack with here. I've got 2 cards left in my deck. I need one of these attacks to hit big. Well, I'm going to swing with the character that has only just a base, flip the 2, reshuffle, and my next guy with bold 2 is going to come in and hope to hunt for those double oranges that are now back in my deck.
Yep.
And it was kind of the same way with Galaxy before. Like, I would base the attacks like, all right, are there energy packs left in the deck? Is there a good chance I flip one here? Just kind of just being aware of those situations, and I had it happen a lot in some of the games I've played. It's like, all right, I know there's still 2 double oranges in my blue deck sitting in there, and I only have 6 cards left, and I'm attacking with my Sky Shadow plane,
right?
Or I'm attacking with my Sky Shadow. I'm like, there's a very good chance here. Like, I'll play a different weapon, knowing I'll probably hit one of those to make up the +2 somewhere else. It lets you just make more calculated decisions. It's not an easy one. Like, I kind of had to do that from a lot of other games. So like, just don't. Like I said, don't be afraid to ask your opponent when you're playing. It's kind of if you don't do it a lot, it's a weird thing when you're in person being like, hey, can I check your discard? But like everyone here's played, a lot of people here play card games before. Like it's a very normal like interaction. Just but ask, always ask.
Right, absolutely.
Don't just reach for it.
Yep.
But it's definitely one of those things that just makes the game, I don't want to say easier, but it makes it easier by just making you make more informed decisions.
Absolutely. I hear you, man. Well, you know what? I got one more question for you. I got to say, off the top of your head, one character and one battle card from Wave 5 that you underestimated, and after playing with them, you're like, whoa, these cards are better than I thought. Chrome Dome's a character for me to kind of
help. Honestly, Chrome Dome and Mind Wipe, like they kind of just like I kind of forgot with Shockwave, like how good disrupting the hand is. Like, I would say the card I thought would be good, but maybe not realize how good like Counter Espionage has been fantastic, and not just for getting secret actions. It's just another way to potentially name peace through tyranny. Like just being able to use like Espionage is obviously get the color, but sometimes like you want the black and the green is fit in a lot more decks than the white and the green.
Yep.
So Counter Espionage has been even better because just the potential to get rid of multiple cards too. So like especially like if you know what they pick up for Perceptor and you don't want them to have it, just being able to name that card and just get rid of it. if you see the opponent plays it, because like at some point you just got to realize they're going to probably guess right on that secret action that's down.
Right.
And then, like I said, this wave's a little bit more mind game intensive with like, all right, I know he picked up this. Is that what he just played? He already had 6 cards in hand. Like checking the scrap pile, making an educated guess. Like, all right, there's already 2 more copies of that in there. It probably isn't that, or you know, like, oh, that's under his Perceptor now, so it's definitely not that. But it's been a big one. And I would say actually knew it'd be good, but for just a different reason. Night Racer. Mm-hmm. Having 11 health is very, very, very good for 5 stars.
2 defense, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 defense. And then honestly having the 4 attack on the other side when you need her. Yeah. Because I kind of we touched on this earlier with kind of how tough, maybe not even important, but how big of a deal total health is seeming in this wave. It's just kind of a different way. It's almost more of your defense now than your actual defense total. Mm-hmm. Kind of like we already saw it with Galaxy being able to attach the 3 energy packs, and like how playing with your health, as Dan like said, I think he said it a lot, like knowing how to use your health pools as a resource. Mm-hmm. I think that's even more important in this wave with how much direct damage there is. So you kind of just have to make a good decision on how much damage you're going to take when you attack to know whether it's a good idea of who you should be attacking with, right, or if you can expect that character to that they have to hit it again. So like just knowing like the health totals now are just, I've played a lot of decks and I think I've been trying to get to at least, not trying, but I've noticed a lot of the ones I've had success with have been close to 40 plus health in a lot of them.
I had a record of 43 health with a deck me and Scott will be revealing sometime here soon. 43 health though.
Yeah, so it's been one of those, and like, because obviously the heads kind of help add to that a little bit. Actually, some of them literally do add to it.
Yeah. And they double something I had to realize, like Grax is plus 10 technically, not plus 5.
Yeah, Grax is a beast.
Yeah,
that much health, and he's got that 4 attack too.
Right, and 4 attack. Yeah.
So he's.
Well, I tell you what, this set has definitely forced interaction more than ever before. Wave 4 definitely kind of really started that with introduction of hidden mortification and sabotage armaments. Where overall, just with counter espionage and things like you said, interaction with your opponent is a lot stronger and crazier than it's ever been before. And there's no more just I do my turn, you do your turn. We're done with those days, and those days are behind us. Yep. But hey man, Nick, I appreciate you again being here with me. It's been an honor and a pleasure having this conversation with you, and I've been wanting to have you on for a while. Thank you for being here, and I will catch you again in a sure, we'll be catching each other again probably in some type of capacity very soon. But before I let you go, you know what we got to do? Need to flex. Yep. Hey, there we go. I see it. There we go.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Just one plug here. FortressMaximus.io. Use it. It's great. Website, deck building, fantastic. And I put article out monthly form now.
Yep.
Just kind of writing over some of the stuff there. Yep. So the website's been a great tool for the community, just building decks. So I would say just give it some love, build some decks on that. I also say you can kind of catch me sometimes. I do some videos with Cameron over at Arbitrary Hero. We'll do some live streams or games against each other. Webcam some stuff now.
Yep, definitely.
So, it's been nice. Like we're local here, so we're able to usually. So a lot of his videos is live gameplay. I'm playing a lot of the other side of it just because we usually are the most consistent with playing around here. Yep. So definitely check out his channel. And he just started, I believe, accepting fundraising for Extra Life for his campaign he does every year.
Yep.
Don't know the specific details on that, but I know he ties the local children's hospital here. I'm pretty sure. And it's just a great cause, gives back to everything here that they're doing. So definitely check his videos out on YouTube. And then that's it for me.
Cool, man. All right, Nick. Hey, well, again, man, thanks for being on the channel with me, and I'll catch you again soon, bro.
Yes, sir.
Man, later.